Alrighty, guys, getting things loaded up here for week 4. Just gonna load the server, give me a few minutes to get things set up. We'll get the broadcast going. Got a lot of battles to shake out here. The amateur class, most notably, only separated by 2 points among 6 racers. I think we'll definitely be in for a good one. Set up a broadcast booth. Jazzy music. Alright, there we go. Got that set up. And we'll take a look as some of the drivers start to head out on the track. Now today, for those of you who don't know, we have a long one. It's only going to be about 3 laps for the drivers as they head around Fonteny, one of the longest racetracks that they've done all year, which you guys will now be privy to. Hopefully, we'll see a few more racers joining up. We already got a ton of guys in on the grid so far. Keep getting the same checksum error for broadcast car. All right, just looking around here, checked right up to the while. Check. I kept checking signups right up to the wire there, and I'm fairly certain that we got everybody in that we could. So that's always good. Gonna let these guys start to settle into the track while I wait and see if I'll have any of my co-broadcasters today. Did extend the invite out to Jawa as well as over to whatchamacallit, J2. Sometimes it is difficult to remember names. But man, Parmesan first one out on track, already making things look easy. The only racer so far to work their way underneath the 10-minute mark. Everybody else trying to find that similar pace. We've got Seb Bellew with a 10:12 as our next closest driver on the grid, but we got a lot of time to get that sorted. 10 minutes a lap is roughly what we're looking at, somewhere between that 10 and 11-minute mark. So these guys will only really have 2, maybe 3 clean attempts per session. So that's going to be for the 30-minute practice and the 30-minute qual. Very interested to see how that plays out. Right now, we got 27-degree track temps and 10-kilometer-an-hour winds. Really not too much to affect these MX5 cars. You don't see that until you get into like the 15s, 20s, something of that nature. But I am going to just take a brief second, and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Looks like I haven't missed much, so we got a lot of time settling in here. Let's start to dial things in, get some trackside views, see what these guys are really going through on the grid. We've got Parmesan starting things off strong for us here. Seems like the man to follow, as he's pretty far along. I think he's got a little bit of company somewhere out in the distance there. Yep, not too far down the straightaway, but company nonetheless. Beautiful sites and villages here. Marshal sheds and outhouses along the way, as plenty of people have pointed out. Oh, and I like these little tunnels. Great detail. As we get that dialed in. So we'll let Parmesan go on because he is flying. Not the type of maneuvering chaos we were hoping for. Rev 174 does not have a clean lap on the track yet, so let's see as he discovers the ins and outs of this one. There are plenty of turns, hundreds, I'm sure, if not close to. Not quite the green hell, but it definitely has its moments. You can see these guys are flat fifth in a lot of different ways. And as we head through Tro de Bomb, thankfully there's a lot of these corners actually have names. So whoever did create this mod really put a lot of time and effort into it, as we see 11 racers on the grid currently. Waiting to see if a few more join over in the rookie end, as we only have 4 at the moment. To the point where I might reset during qualifying. Try and get these guys all on one grid together, although this late in the season I don't know that we need to do all of that. As you see the 4 trams of him trying to connect one last time, and fortunately not able to over in the rookie ends. Oh, as Rev finally finding that moment where he's got to come off of 5th gear, and it approaches him very quickly as he enters the town here. I do think I've got that same thing going on where I'm not quite seeing all of our racers on the grid. Oh, I most definitely am not, as the track map is lacking a few. I wonder if I can force a reset. That does not help me. Let's see if I can. Alright, wasn't that. Track is showing. Couldn't get any more out. Oh, as Rev finds his way over to the edge. Interesting that I just cannot see all of the drivers on the track map. Wonder if there's anything else I can do. I'll try maybe closing it and opening it, seeing if that does anything for me, but no, it does not seem to. And what does that do? Alright, yeah, no, not quite what we were looking for. Alright, I'm gonna just try and reset the connection roof. Just give me one moment here. We'll see if that does it and kind of go from there. Where is Alright, there we go. It's letting me back in, so at least that's a good start. And we'll go from there. Don't worry about that sound. I think they're still good. Yeah, I'm sure you are. And look at that. We got significantly more racers on the grid now. You can actually see them on the track map. So let's take a look, see some guys who are out and about for the first time. I want to say Sam. Oh, well, how about double whammy? We got Dance recovered. Sam found himself in a bit of a bush, and Thorn is on his way around the track. So we'll take a look with him first, as he seems to be our current best candidate. Oh, you guys missed all of that. So I'm a gracious host. You're welcome. So you check in here with Thorn in the number 69 Noob Racer as we struggle a little bit to stay on the track. Reminder, these guys do have real penalty going against them, so they're going to have to work hard today to keep things in line, at least to the best of their ability. We also see a large number of them are really only going out for their first or second lap, whereas Seb Bellews put 12 in the bag, Parmesan with 8, so a little bit of advantage for a few drivers on the grid. We do have 5 over in the rookie end of things, so that'll be a little exciting to watch as we see some newcomers make their way in slowly. I think. I hope. All right, there we go. I think this time we do actually see them join in. There we go. So one successful join from one of the rookies there. We got 5 guys over on their end, 12 in our event today. One who has not yet head out of pits, but I'm sure we'll see them in a little bit. Thorn, ooh, taking things a little bit wide. Just as you get cozy with that 5th gear around this track. I don't know, Matisse. Are you frozen? Hopefully not. Let me pull up the live broadcast on my end of things as well and just double check what I got going here. The Cardinal Sin. I'm seeing some movement on our end for now. Oh, okay. Not anymore. All right. Yeah, it might have been because I didn't switch back the thing when you were saying that. Ooh, wow. I like that corner. That's going to be nice to see the whole grid through. Didn't catch what the name was at first, but looked electric. Where even are we? Are we still all right? So we're getting to the end of the track here. This is the final bits of Sector 3 as we're on with Thorn. This is one that you're going to see the grid get a little spread out. Now, there are no pit stops today. So this is purely going to be a battle of consistency. There's no sneaky advantage with the 1 stop versus the 2 stop. Although fuel would be a little tricky to calculate on a track of this size. We are still looking for a clean time from a couple of our racers here. And the beginning moments, man, those classic advertisements are phenomenal. As we see Sam S working his way across the line, and he'll head out to try and put some on the board himself. It's a lot more convenient being able to actually see the names. Oh, Sam has a rough turn 1, heading in with a little bit more speed than I think he was thinking about. That Harbor Freight Icon racer looking strong, but needing a little bit more to go. Jump Raven now joining the party. We are looking still for the 3-way battle between Parmesan, Pet Zabo, and Jump Raven. Here's to hoping we do see Pet Zabo show up at some point today, as they were a great addition to the season in the early on events. We're hoping to see them have a chance at finishing strong here. Jump Raven going to slide by Sam. Oh, I was going to say looking for some inspiration, but looks like he takes the deeper dive in. I mean, this will give us a nice little taste of how much room these guys actually have together on track. Looks like a fairly large portion as a... Oh, that's perfect, Mateus. I just saw your message. Yeah, of course, that's one that would finally go through. I gotta switch these. I did much better at keeping up with the chat when it was up here. Let me move this over here and move this over here. All right. Now I can actually see the chat as it comes in. And we'll see if any co-hosts join to help me keep up with that as well. Mateus, were you the one who added these Ferrari liveries, I feel like, to the server? Because they have been getting a lot of miles on the MX5s. It's actually pretty impressive, I will say. Seem to be a crowd favorite. As we've got no semblances of... Yeah, that's what I figured. No semblances of times to see when or when it is. Yeah, it was just easier to add the whole pack. Well, it's because I just add whatever my MX5 file is. So my MX5 file ended up having the whole pack just because I downloaded it, like the whole pack that way. Jeff, feel? Take a look at a few onboards here. See what else we got going on.
Everyone wanted me to make you aware of the Michelin penis sign.
Of the what?
The Michelin penis sign.
What?
Go to the start. Go to like the starting straight.
Who's in pits? Hang on. Okay, I'm in the starting straight.
Yep. I think you oh wait, no. It's along the starting straight somewhere. I'm not certain if you already passed it, but it's along the starting straight. Oh yeah, up there. Goodyear penis. Oh wait, no, Goodyear penis. My bad. Not Michelin penis. Goodyear penis. Go back. Oh yeah, right there. There's also one. Okay, bye. I've done my duty.
You guys are... Go back to the race. I don't even know who joined the chat to say that. I missed that completely. Bunch of children. As Josh Fulton takes to the grid. Alright, I'm turning fucking autocam back on for a second here. I'm gonna try and get speed bumps situated one more time if I can figure out what's going on, as if I have a clue. Alright. So let's take a look here. I'm just waiting for someone to put up a clean lap. I mean, just so we can at least talk times here, get a sense of what we've got going on in the background. Hold on, I've got something going on there. Move that, do that. Maybe even take a peek at how much time is left in the session to get frisky with it. As we got 9 minutes and 21 seconds left, so not a lot of time, as we still see a few more racers yet to head out and set full clean laps. I'm looking for, it's going to be Matt Doom is the one that we have yet to see go out for a few. Check in now with Pogo. I want to see if we can make the engine volume back to our usual. Get these bad boys buzzing like the bees they are. Oh boy, that might have been a bit much. Possibly. Go for like, that's probably a little bit better. All right. That is what I needed as Pogo headed through the carousel. We've got a little bit more life in the track now. Things are waking up, and that number 99 car is looking pretty damn good as we sneak around the grid. This track is French. It should be written in French. I don't know why things are written occasionally in other languages. It could be something with the map creator themselves. Maybe it's like a little nod from them. You never know. Things that we've definitely seen before here on our end. As Pogo finding the grass barrier, but able to keep moving on. Still checking to see. I actually see Dance seems to be on a clean lap, at least for their first two sectors. Seb Bellew finally putting up a clean time with a 10:09. Looks like Dance is focused entirely on getting a clean lap here. You can see him just toying with the edges at this point, not even really hammering out on the throttle. Wants to be one of the few racers to just get that. It is tires. All right. Awesome. It means tires. Thank you, Mateus. What would I do without you? That's why we need our Brazilian correspondents every now and again. As Nancy gets closer and closer, I think we've only got about 2 turns left. Yep, just 25 kilometers. I want to say that is the length of the track that these guys are around today. Nothing too shabby. Might even be longer, to be honest. Wasn't paying a ton of attention when I selected it. I just wanted to find somewhere that these guys could have a little bit of fun, and fun they have had as Dancy rips his way in for a 10:16. So not bad considering the caution that we were seeing exercise throughout the laps. Do you see everybody else currently with cuts throughout every sector, with the exception of Thorn, who had a clean sector 3 at least. You know, some solid progress there. Waiting to see as people get closer and closer to that end of the sector 1 line if anybody can make something happen. I'm going to jump over to Thorn though, because I think they actually have someone nearby, just out in the distance. A little further away than I expected. Who do we got hiding up here? That's Rev 174 on a lap of their own, currently trying to get at least through sector 1 clean. As we jump on board with the Scrub Daddy Motorsport car, exercising a lot of caution, knowing that these 5 minutes are going to be probably their final 5 minutes to get around the track. You can see at least some friendly signs as far as where these turns are coming from. As Thorn probably starting to feel or apply a little bit of pressure here to Rev. Taking a peek now, we do have Parmesan has completed sector 1, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. That is a purple sector 1, including what we've seen in the offline private practice session. So a tremendous start to their lap. Parmesan is quite far ahead on the track, so we'll try and stick with these two, see if they can make things a little bit interesting between them. Oh, as Rev has their cut, and I believe we saw one earlier on. So we'll jump back over to Parmesan to see what they're made of. That number 48 Raspberry Racer really making things interesting here as they are setting the bar lower and lower. Seb Bellew's already seen improvements since their offline practice session. We're going to see if we can see the same from the Lord and Savior Jesus himself. Oh man, toying with the edges of those lines. You can hear that car just wanting to go a little bit quicker. but not having the capacity to really push it out as far as it wants. Might be a fun one to run back with the GT3s as a season finale for season 8. Wink and nudge nudge to those listening. We'll see what happens. 3 minutes and 45 seconds left of practice before the overtime kicks in. Don't remember how long I set the overtime practice for, so that'll be kind of interesting to see if they're able to set things up. As we have two little carousels around this track. Oh, and Parmesan goes wide and knows they don't have enough time to get around and set up another. So they will call it there. I'm looking at the grid to see if anybody else has a shot at a clean sector one. Would you see Brett Anderson and Josh Fulton at least out and pushing? So we'll jump on with them for now. Josh Fulton, the man in the number 23 car on your screen there. You see fire extinguisher kept handy, as this is one you don't want to get stranded out on your own in. He's just keeping himself prepared. Little update, Rev 174 did officially get given a cut sector 1. Same for Thorn. Tommy Boy has completed his sector 2 with additional cuts there. So things are tricky. At least Tommy Boy in a position to come around the line and have one more chance at a clean lap. And he'll be the one, that everybody else is waiting for, as Josh Fulton heads out past one of the broadcast stands and into the dirt. We see him rejoin, though, relatively safely, all things considered. But now, looking for his first clean lap on Fonteny. We'll see what Tommy Boy can have to offer in the number 16 Baby Metal Racer. I do apologize that we haven't been squeezing some interviews in, but it's a little trickier to do when I don't have my co-host with me. So we will have to try and get around to that next time. Tommy Boy at least off to a relatively strong start, working his way through Champ pretty cleanly. As you can see, he's pushing hard, trying his best to stay clean, not really toying on the edge. I was going to say on the edge of the track too much, but there he goes, just barely keeping those wheels in. So he does want to set a competitive time, not just a clean one. Not going to back off and stroll his way around the track, which will certainly make things a little bit more exciting. We do have the qualifying max wait time is only set to 110% of the fastest lap. So although these guys will get a nice little cushion here in practice, they have to start planning ahead, because qualifying will be a little bit less forgiving based on the fastest clean lap that goes on the board. And a track like this, position early on is probably pretty important. I mean, there is a lot of wide spaces, but it's a very flat out track. A lot of room for, or not a lot of room for passing opportunities and mistakes until you get to further along the line. So sector 2 and 3 is really going to be the moment, I think, where we'll see a lot of passes and capitalization on mistakes, but we're not there quite yet, as Tommy Boy heads out wide, and that will be the end of his practice hopes and dreams. But don't worry, it's still his swap. We appreciate the effort, Tommy. Let's head over now to someone who did not miserably screw up their practice chances. Pogo just made it out in time for a clean one. Has a long way to go, so it'll really depend on how long overtime is. But currently working their way through Champ de Fou. Or Dufaux, probably. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be an interesting one. So 12 races on the board. We haven't seen a lot of clean laps currently, including the offline private practice stuff. We've only seen 4 racers put up clean times. Parmesan not able to find it in the 30-minute session here. Matt Doomed and Lara not attempting to find it in the session here. We also look over at the rookie race end of things, where we have 6 drivers on the field, only 2 of which have put up successful laps, including the private practice sessions. So certainly going to be an interesting one on both grids today. Things keep up the way they have been, though, we may have to visit the idea of a joint grid for the finale. Let's see exactly what we can do there. Oh, as Pogo goes into the dirt, and that will be the end of their clean one. Everybody's struggling here around Fonteny. Now Pogo just trying to find their way around, see what they can explore on today's grid. And I'm curious to see what's over this hill too. Come on, Pogo, let's see if we can get up there. The number 99 car trying to help us figure out the answers to our secrets. And the answer is not much. It's really not that exciting. I'm just waiting for the point where Pogo goes falling in here. Just give it a moment. As we see a disconnect from the rookie end of things. Oh boy, they're getting some serious speed here now. Pogo almost hitting upwards of 100 kilometers an hour for a second, but now has another hill to climb. I'm surprised the track goes as far out as it does. Oh, and I think that's going to be the end of the traction. Or do we got a little engine that could situation? Okay, come on. I know you guys are probably curious to know what those other dots are doing around the map. They are all on off laps here, all have cuts one way or another, so none of the laps in progress are going to count. But what will count is the exploration and discovery of this man right here. I think this has got to be the edge, right? That's a hard cutoff. Come on. Yeah, that's it right there. That's it. Yep. As expected. All right. So Pogo finds their way into we'll call it that situation. Rev 174, just trying to finish up the lap, pick up a couple more tips and tricks. Cutting through the middle of the map might be it. I would honestly be curious to see if it would be. I mean, that's a lot of rough terrain to traverse. And you got to hit all the sector markers. So you got to go up to sector 1, then over to you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That'd be a tricky one. It's very hard to say. I don't think it's out of the question, though. Outhouse. Oh, man, I just love that turn. We got to just pause for a second just to look at this. Beautiful turn here. I mean, a hard banking carousel over a bridge. That's the stuff of art right there. All right, where are you? Come here. How'd we do? Not bad. I can live with that. Oh, and into the other one. Just phenomenal. I like this track. Yeah, I feel bad for our next GT3 season competitors, because we're definitely going to be running this track. I can guarantee you now for the finale. This is just a magnificent pit stop. Will absolutely be required. The whole 9. As Jump Raven comes to the end of their lap, only one person left to bring us home, and that's going to be Sam GT3. Only a few turns left in Sector 3, but all of them tricky ones. Ooh, as he manages to work the throttle and stay on the track until the other side of that carousel. What did that say? Le Pigeon? Le Pigeon? That would be something else. Pigeon's Bridge. I love it. And that's going to be the one that Sam calls for the finale. we do have the official safety car lined up here, just as a reminder to our racers. No need to skip the session here. The next one will be launching in just a moment. And we'll get qualifying underway. We do still have practice going for the rookies. As I'm just checking around, make sure everything is all sorted there. All right. So as overtime gets ready to kick off, I'm going to take a wild guess here and say Parmesan will be our first racer out on the track. So we'll loop on with him. I will be back in just a moment. I'll let you guys kind of jump around from camera to camera. As I get ready to step away, I'll just reiterate some of the stuff we've seen here today, that this track is gnarly. Every corner counts, every blind hill brings another possible mistake. So there's really not a lot of pros to going in unprepared on something like this, and we can already see it. Those racers who did have a little bit more practice starting a little bit stronger than some of the other ones on our grid. As we see Matt Doom DeLara is heading out this time now. Qualifying session will be the first time we see that pace. I think it's actually going to be the first time we see the pace in relation to the RAR grid, as they were unable to make things last week, and they were in the rookie event the prior weeks. But that should keep things pretty fun today and nice and fluid. Again, these guys do have real penalties, so we're going to see those track limit violations. We're going to see the speeding penalties, all sorts of stuff and shenanigans. So very interesting to see what happens there. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, I'm back. So let's look at some of the situations that have changed here as we head into the qualifying session. Got 28 minutes left here, and first couple racers out. As we predicted, Parmesan is actually the front racer on the track. We'll try and get a little trackside cam going of him in just a moment. As that number 48 car leads the way. So 28 degrees on the track, 16km/h wind. That is going to probably be felt a little bit here and there. It'll definitely offset the car with some of those crosswind sections all throughout sector. Looks like the back half of sector 1, the front half of sector 2, and all of sector 3. So a lot of heavy crosswinds in the first part of qualifying. Eventually that weather is going to lift a little bit, so they'll have something else to look out for in about 15 minutes time. But until then, these are the situations they got to deal with, and Parmesan making it look relatively easy. You can see he's already remembered a large portion of this track. Let's take a look behind and see how some of our other racers fare with this trickier corner. I do believe that's Seb Bellew, who takes it through pretty cleanly. Josh Fulton a little bit on the dirt, but carries on through with some speed. Then Matt Doom with a nice debut, getting followed by Rev 174. And I want to say that was Tom going by, followed by Brett Anderson, who is double dipping tonight, trying to keep tabs on the NHL game or NHL Stanley Cup Finals, but has also blessed us with his presence, which we appreciate. Just to narrate what's going on over in the rookie end of things, we do have our first couple racers out on the track. Wasey and Woohoo Man setting clean first sectors on their outlaps, so that's going to be very interesting. As we see a red sector 1 from Parmesan. I'm going to guess we'll see a couple red sectors from most of the grid here. As Seb Bellew does the same. Dancy was not far behind. I do see a little bit more of a gap than I recall. Oh, sorry, that's actually going to be Matt Doom who was behind, and then Rev 174. The red sectors for all of our front runners trying to get out on the pack, doing their best to just try and follow cars ahead, gain a little bit of inspiration from the lines in front. Let's jump with some of our guys who waited a moment or two before heading out. Pogo, or actually, who's that all the way in the back there? That's going to be Sam S, actually, who's just one of our last racers to head out, gives himself the most amount of clean air, chance, and opportunity to learn the trickier parts of this grid. Now, we do use the drone cam to try and keep things simple, make sure we don't miss any of the action. And on tracks like this, we're definitely grateful because it is hard to keep that TV presence everywhere. And we do our best to follow what our current cams cannot. Ooh. As we see Sam going offline there. Let's jump back with some of the more fun going on. We got Matt Doom Lara still chasing down Rev 174, this time a little bit closer as they're starting to catch up to Josh Fulton. These guys are going to have to separate each other based on pace once they hit Sector 3 because they're not, I was going to say want to interfere with each other's hot laps, but thankfully those trees were holograms as we just want to add some decoration. Not hazards. But that could have been a very harrowing moment. We are. Hey, there's the man himself. How you doing, Java?
Good. Sorry about being late. I was up at the airport.
Oof. Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. No, you're good. No problem. You haven't missed too much. Everyone's actually been struggling to put in clean laps, so as far as what everybody's watched, we've only missed 2 clean laps in the entire practice session. Everybody trying to find their way through things now as we begin to head towards the carousel section, as I'm liking to call it.
Just gonna verify, Buggy, you're not talking to yourself today, are you?
No, I got that one checked out ahead of time.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll be good there. Thank you, Scarface. I just noticed. Got a little bless you in the chat. Makes me feel good. Yeah, everybody's getting sick around me at work and stuff, so gotta be careful. Keep on the toes. Yeah, you know how it goes.
No fun there.
Yeah, but to the matter at hand, we've got 13 racers now on the grid as Mogo joins the server, getting ready to settle into the action on a very tough track to go in blind for, so that'll be interesting to see. Curious to see if we'll see El Garito make it for this one or not, as they've been doing a good job of just showing up and having some dominance, with the exception of some unfortunate moments at the endurance event on Saturday. As Matt Doom finally spins out. Had a tremendous debut lap, though, keeping up with Rev 174 and Josh Fulton a little bit further ahead in the distance as they all try and get around to set some clean times. We are looking at about 10-minute lap times based on what we're seeing here, so that should make things interesting, don't you say?
I would definitely say 10-minute lap time is tremendous. That's like driving the Nordschleife.
Yeah, these little MX5s definitely feel the ins and outs. There's a lot of long sections where they can just hammer on the gas, and they almost can go mindfully hammering on the gas in fifth gear. And just like that, they'll have to drop it down to at least third for a tight corner. So very tricky for a car, considering it's not quick enough to get from one tight corner section to the next.
Most definitely, this entire track's going to be a flow-based thing. You got to keep that minimum speed to as high as you can, and keep it out of the dirt. That's going to be, I'd say, the biggest thing for this is just keeping it on track, keeping it clean.
Yeah, and I am interested to see how the grid splits up today, considering this is the only race of the season that doesn't have a pit stop. So they'll be able to just go clean through from start to finish on the fuel and tires that they have at hand. Oh, as Brett Anderson finds the one piece of equipment on the track that is not invisible and will have to start their lap very, very far back. That's about a 8-minute disadvantage, or a 10-minute if you look at the overall time that's gone by in qualifying. So tricky spot to be in. We'll jump over to Mogo, who is learning the track for the first time. This is going to be an interesting one to watch as they find themselves kind of in the middle of things here. I actually don't even fully see where Mogo is on the track. Oh, as it looks like we've got a little connection issue there. And then we got him back. How bizarre.
Mogo just doing a little bit of landscaping there.
Yeah, just a bit, just to help us out. I'm trying to see. All right, so Mogo is at the beginning of Sector 1. It's not showing on the mini-map, but I just do have verification going on behind the scenes. Again, we did see that the only way to fix that is for us to leave and come back with the broadcast cam, which, considering nobody has even set a clean sector yet, I guess technically we could. As we do see Mogo really starting to struggle with the ping here. Very interesting, considering it doesn't really show to be that bad on the live timing, so I'm not really sure what's happening there. Let's jump over to someone trying to complete their first clean sector. That's going to be Parmesan and the number 48 Raspberry Racer. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to you, but one of the 4 racers only to set a clean lap overall. Not one of the 2 to get a clean lap during the practice session, though. Oh, and also Parmesan is the only one to break 10 minutes on this track so far, Jawa.
Very interesting. Parmesan, he does seem to be in a league of his own, as he usually is. Very quick racer. I'm going to step away and grab myself a beverage.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we're sticking on board here with Parmesan as we get closer and closer to the end of that first sector. Well, I say the end, actually. Parmesan is quite far away from that point of the lap, as these are some very, very long laps altogether. We do see a little grouping forming slightly further back. I want to say that's Tommy Boy and a few others, as a draft and a little buddy to learn from never hurt anyone on a track this size. Might be actually Jump Raven and someone else that we're looking at in that sector. As Tommy Boy back to pits again for the second time in this session. At some point, you are just going to want to make your way through the outlap, even if it's not a good outlap, because you got to at least try and put something on the board. With 13 guys here, it is going to be tough to find your spot on the grid, and you'll get caught up in a single file line through a lot of these high-speed sectors. Checking in over on the rookie end of things, Max Yang came close with 2 clean sectors, but unable to finish it with a cut in sector 3. Ends up just shy of a clean lap on the outlap. At least one clean sector for everybody's outlap, though, over in the rookie end. So pretty interesting to see the juxtaposition as these pro racers are pushing as hard as they can. You see Rick Nicholson and Fudzy yet to set any sector times altogether, so they're waiting for the right opportunity to strike, perhaps waiting for that weather change, which will be coming in 45 seconds for the rookies and just over a minute for our pros. I do see Parmesan did get the clean lap, clean sector on this lap. It's going to be a 3-minute, 36-second sector. For reference, that's going to be over 30 seconds faster than the fastest lap or fastest sector in the rookie event at the moment. Those were their outlaps, so take that, with a grain of salt, but that is one hell of a time for the number 48 Raspberry Racer. We actually see Tipsy putting up a clean 3:47, so it is 11 seconds faster than the fastest lap over in the rookie server, but that is still a pretty good gap for just one sector, and we'll see how that gap continues to build throughout the rest of this lap. These are one of those long straights that we were talking about, and they aptly call it Le Mans because in these MX5s it feels like you're going down that straightaway. And there we have it, the little change in the weather. So a little bit more brightness on the track for these guys. They can start to see things a little bit better as the clouds are beginning to disperse. 30-degree track temps now, so they'll start to find a little bit more grip as the tires heat up, and only 1 km/h wind, so really nothing to affect them overall. We're going to take this opportunity to jump around for a minute here. We'll look over at Sam GT, currently trying to wrap up sector 1, hoping it's a clean one. Obviously, we won't be able to tell until they get to that point. I always think this is about the halfway point of sector 1, but halfway is still another minute or two to go. So we'll let Sam keep powering through. Thorn in the noob racer doing a good job of pushing. All these guys are currently fighting together in the amateur class. So we've got Nick Cruz, Brett Anderson tied at 38, Pogo and Dancy tied at 37, Thorn and Mogo tied at 36. So nice battle between them. We see Sam S currently trying to join in on that fight as he's missed a few races, so it'll be kind of coming off of the back foot, but definitely not impossible. At the very least, Sam's hoping to catch up to the top of the rookie class right now as he sits with only 13 points at the end of his first race, with plenty of time and opportunity to gain more. Today being one of them. Currently leading that class is Rev174 with 34 points, so just shy of moving up. Same goes for Matt Doom, Delara with 32 points. So it'll be interesting to see how everything goes there. Jump Raven and Tommy Boy currently only separated by a single point up at the top in the pro class. Battles all around. 1 point differences between pretty much everybody and the guy next to them. So everybody's got a buddy to lean on. It'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top.
Most definitely, this race is going to be all about the mentality. Especially even qualifying, just getting around the track in one piece is going to be difficult. So even if you don't have the fastest time, just putting in a time is beneficial. And I would argue to say that's going to be the exact same for the race. Keeping it out of the grass and out of the trees is going to be the most difficult part about this race. As we're being proven right there as Pogo goes just wide, saves it though, keeps it on track, but I assume that's going to invalidate his lap, which is very fortunate as they only have 12 minutes remaining in the qualifying session.
Yeah, we do see Pogo had a red sector 1 there, and that was the actual moment that caused the sector 1 to go red, it looks like. I'm also seeing, though, that the rest of the grid's starting to find some success here, finally. Parmesan with 2 clean sectors, no surprise, purple for both. Seb Bellew, 2 greens. Rev with a green, Matt with a green. So some improvements all across the board. It looks like we might actually see a few times go up at the end of this one. and that'll give us something to actually take a look at. Oh, as Jump Raven goes off track as I say that. Unfortunately, not able to get by the lap traffic, or not the lap traffic, but the slower traffic in front of Matt Doom Delara, who then ends up going off himself slightly further up the way. So that's going to be unfortunate for both racers, not able to get a clean one in that go around. Jump Raven has just enough time and knows it, teleports back to pits to try and get out for one more clean attempt. We'll jump over with Parmesan because they are getting closer and closer to the end. Oh, Brett, by the way, this is my favorite corner of all time right here.
Oh, beautiful. That's
Carousel.
awesome.
I said Brett, my bad. Jawa. But
You're
yeah.
good. I knew what you meant.
But yeah, that thing is sweet. And then we've got Parmesan looking for that clean and top qualifying time to show us exactly why he's in that expert class alone. Follow-up carousel to match the bridge carousel, taken beautifully. 16 seconds up on their previous time, which was a 10-minute 6-second outlap. So that's going to put us somewhere around a 9:50 to start things off. I mean, how's that for sending a message?
Oh, it definitely is very, very potent. It's one of the shows the dominance that Parmesan has over this grid right now. Being the only person as of now to have set an actual qualifying lap with only 10 minutes remaining is a big statement.
And what a qualifying lap at that. Their best lap prior to this was only a 9:53, so shaved off another 4 seconds on their own there. Just hammering away at the pace. We're going to try and jump a little further back. Let's see if we can grab maybe Seb Bellew, who should be on a lap of their own. Hopefully another clean one. This one looks to be around the 10:05 marker if all things go well. Hammering down the back straightaway. Did he have a clean Sector 3? The moment of truth? And he did. Goes to the top, or second on the board with a 10:09. 20 seconds away from Parmesan, but with a track this big with that many corners, it's really nothing too crazy.
And the biggest thing for the rest of these drivers here today is to finish their outlap and start moving. Get at least one good lap in, because if not, you're starting at the back of the grid, which is never fun, especially at a track that is this complex. Overtaking can be very difficult. So starting at the front of the grid is definitely going to give you a huge benefit.
Yeah, and just an update for the rookie end of things. We did end up with 8 drivers now over there. We've got Tipsy, Trent, Wasey, Woohoo, Max Yang, Rick Nicholson, Fudzy, and Bullet all loaded into the server. So it'll be nice to see how things shake up for those guys. Currently all looking to get a clean lap in themselves. Wasey looking with the best opportunity. Currently 2 clean sectors and actually heading towards the line now. So we'll find out in just about 1 turn's time how that one plays out. As Rev 174, cuts things close there, but continues pushing onwards. And Wasey's done it. Wasey crosses the line in 11:05, not the prettiest lap, but it managed to get through with a lap on the board. I think at this point, that's going to be the strategy for some of our racers. Just get on the board and hope for the best. Rev 174's 127, not necessarily in that same mindset, but will carry some weight here. Oh, as we broadcasters curse Thorn heading into our favorite carousel. It's actually La Pargon. I was calling it La Pigeon earlier because I didn't really see what it said. But we're back in action. So Jawa, you've raced on a similar track like this. People are comparing it to Fellberg Ring. Obviously, you've raced Nords before. You know, how do you even prepare for something like this with so little time when there's a million corners you have to learn, a million ins and outs, and just a whole new beast to conquer?
For sure. So with little time, my first strategy is getting around the track. Learning the corners is a huge one. being as if trying to maximize every single corner is going to be almost impossible at a track like this with only a week or two of notice. Another thing with two is the setup. The setup doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be drivable and stable. It's something I found in not only my Feldberg Rain race we did here, as well as the Nordschleife. Just being able to get around the course cleanly at a suitable pace is more beneficial than being quick and very unstable. So just it's all about just being as competent as possible and as consistent as possible around the track. Just know where you're at and put in okay laps. You don't have to be fast. You just need to be decent, because the guys that are pushing as hard as they can are going to have some issues. It's impossible to stay perfect throughout an entire 45-minute race.
Right. Absolutely good way to look at it. Just do your best to stay moving, essentially, at the end of the day, and might be the key to victory. And it certainly seems to be the key to success as we enter our final 5 minutes, give or take, of qualifying. Only 3 times set, and taking a look at things, there's not too many people who are in position to join him. Sam S, one of the final few with an opportunity here. Will we see that improvement? We do, with a 10:46, so enough to get on the board. We now go over to Josh Fulton, who's completed a clean Sector 1. We don't know where they stand for Sector 2. We'll find out in a little bit, but we'll stay on board as that develops.
Definitely noticed a tremendous amount of our faster racers here, that being Brett Anderson, Dan C, Tommy Boy, Jump Raven, haven't set a lap yet. And that's going to be a big issue if these guys can't put their lap times in. Starting from the back is going to be tremendously difficult to overtake, especially on a track this tight that requires about, I would argue to say, you only have about 1 line through most of these corners if you're trying to race at pace.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of space. Like, there is space, but there's not a lot of space to maintain your speed. So every battle is also going to be an opportunity for the guy in front to get further ahead. You know, obviously that's a Gran Turismo moment there. I know it's relatively obvious, but that's just something these guys have to consider. Oh, as you see Mo go off track there, while Josh hammers through. I'm looking over now as we get closer and closer to the end of the second sector. Does Josh Fulton carry out a strong enough Sector 2, or at least a clean one? Looks like we may actually have a couple of corners left. I misspoke. I was looking at the wrong dot on the map there. Wow, this is some crazy elevation changes and stuff. This is going to be interesting. I did announce, Jawa, that we're going to be doing this for the GT3 finale next season.
Oh, wonderful.
I feel like this would be a good one.
More tough.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it. We're going to go back to the usual batch of cars. We're not going to do Cup cars. We'll do it like every other season for Cup cars, probably.
I'd love to do the Porsche RSR, the GT2 Cup car. That one's amazing. Great car.
I can get behind that.
Just a little wide.
Was that it? I don't know. He had a clean Sector 2, but he's in Sector 3 now. I don't know if that was the end of the lap, and if it was, Josh is going to be hammering on the pace to get around. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining, currently 8 minutes into his lap time, so he does have a chance, if you can keep it under 11 minutes, to at least just get by. Yeah, okay, so he's just trying to get around to get one more lap in. He knows he'll have just enough time with the way that overtime is set up. So we'll wish him luck on that endeavor. In the meantime, let's jump over to... Seems like Seb Bellew would be our next one, although he's already got a clean lap. So let's check in with Dancy, because he's working towards one, and I want to see how that works out. I'm just curious to see how many people are able to put times on the board.
No, for sure. Only about a quarter of our grid has been able to put up a time. So just putting up a time is going to be impressive today. Yeah,
we do see 2 racers have already given up and resided to the back. That's going to be Tommy Boy and Mogo. Both racers unable to secure a clean out lap or hot lap attempt in the qualifying session. We do see Brett Anderson currently looking to get back out and around if he can for a clean one. And a few other guys who look like they might not have the time. Dancy, though, taking it out wide. I was trying not to talk about the lap too much to avoid the broadcaster's curse, but obviously that will be a cut and the end of the good fortune there. We can now jump over to Matt Doom Lara looking to set his first clean lap. He's got company behind him, and that's in the form of Pogo. Both racers currently trying to set a clean one. And they're going to have to work together because this is not a situation that you want to even consider passing each other in. At this point, just take whatever time you can get and stay close. Hopefully this goes in Pogo's favor, and it'll kind of help Pogo slow himself down, focus on the challenge at head, as Matt's going to be a little bit distracted in his rears. Pogo doing a great job of applying the pressure. Even though this is only qualifying, it is going to force these racers to keep moving. As long as they keep it clean, that's all we really want from them. Just that way we can get these proper laps on the board. They are both across the line clean in Sector 2. Pogo has made up 6 seconds this lap, and Matt goes off, probably looking in the mirrors a little bit to watch out for Pogo behind. And we'll see if Pogo is able to keep things clean, because this will be their final chance to do so. As Seb Bellew looking for improvements, seeing it across sectors 1 and 2, hoping to get under the 10-minute mark with a strong Sector 3, which we'll see go up in just a moment. It's got to be close here. Seb getting closer and closer to the line. I keep looking over at the live timings for it to see if he does it. And it's not really going to be too much improvement, as it's only 2 seconds. He goes up to a 10:07. Pogo, on the other hand, though, still trying to keep things clean.
Incredible save there by Pogo. I was almost 100% sure he was losing that, but managed just to reel it back in and keep that lap valid.
Yeah, it's going to be tight to the end here. I mean, even if he doesn't, have a strong lap. Okay, a little bit of net code there. He putting in a clean one at this point looks like will guarantee him top 5. I only see... No, he's the last one with an opportunity looking at the leaderboard. So other than possibly Jump Raven, Fulton, and Brett Anderson are all out in Sector 1. I can't see if they're on clean laps at this time just yet. But I'm going to let you narrate these last couple of laps here. I got to take the dog out real quick.
Do your thing.
How she goes. I'm going to turn on announcer bot so we don't miss any of the final action.
Cool. Like Buggy said, we are on board with Pogo here. As Pogo is only... I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the finish line here. You see Pogo's finished sectors 1 and 2. They're clean. As Pogo comes down, the final straight looks to be a clean lap. We'll see what comes out of this. As Pogo puts up a 10:08.396, putting himself in P3. I think this is the best qualifying session Pogo has had this season so far. Now on board with Thorn, as Thorn has an invalid Sector 2, so I don't know if this lap's going to count here. We'll have to see. It definitely will not count now, as Thorn hits one of the only actual objects on the track. Very unfortunate to see, as Thorn has completed their qualifying session without putting in a valid lap. But you see Sam S is still out on track. Does already have a time of 10:46.0, which puts them comfortably in P5. Does have quite a bit of time to make up if they want to take P4 from Rev 174 with a 10:29 flat as well. we're not currently watching, but Matt Doom Delara is currently on a push lap with green sector 1 and 2. We'll see if they're able to put up any time, as we are in the overtime of week 4, season 7 of the Real Amateur Racing MX5 Cup. We do see a few other drivers that are also out on green laps, that being Jump Raven and Josh Fulton. We'll see if they have enough time to complete a lap, but we already are about halfway through the overtime period, so it doesn't look super likely. So on board here with Sam S, as they are 13.3 seconds up on their Delta, which does almost put them within striking range of Rev 174. We just need a little bit more time out of that car there, and they will take P4, pushing Rev to P5. Definitely possible. You see only 4 drivers left to complete qualifying, that being Sam S, Jump Raven, Josh Fulton, and Brett Anderson. Sam is just peeling time off corner after corner. This very well could be a P4 for Sam S, as long as they keep it clean through these last few sections of the track. Down on to the finish straight. Here we go. 16.8 seconds up on his previous best. Will it be enough to get P4? And just off of Rev 174, 2 seconds to be exact. Very unfortunate, but does keep themselves out of range from the other drivers. That is Josh Fulton, Jump Raven, and Brett Anderson. We do see Josh Fulton now on a heater, 4.35 seconds up on their previous best in Sector 2. Through the carousel. Very clean. TV cameras seem to be a bit broken, but it's okay. We'll deal with it as it comes. Up over this tough crest, which is a really deep braking zone. Or apologies, not deep braking zone, a hard one. It unsettles the car very much. But Josh handles it with ease. Will he have enough time to get around to finish this lap, as Josh has not even finished Sector 2 yet? We do see Jump Raven now putting up a purple Sector 2, a 333.25, which is just barely faster than Jesus there, just about a 10th.
All right, I am back. But wow, look at that. We do see that is one hell of a sector from Jump Raven. Hopefully he gets to keep that one a clean one. Let's see if we can jump over to him and watch him until the end here. Overtime is supposed to be a little bit longer than the fastest lap, so we'll have about 10 minutes and 20 seconds if I had to guess. So he's got about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to finish. Looking at his current lap time, he's got plenty of time to do so. So it'll be a big moment of truth here as to whether or not he can pull it off. I do see Josh Fulton currently on a clean lap himself, as for Brett Anderson. So couple of contenders still out on the track. Brett Anderson gonna have a trickier time getting across that line before the overtime session expires, but the other two I think are in decent spots as it stands. Watching now with Jump Raven heading through the Razoo with some speed. Had a phenomenal exit, as you see some strong acceleration there. Working his way through the final corners. That's always kind of the welcome home point on the track. You know, you only got a few more tight turns to go, so you can kind of start to settle in, take things easy, and just bring the car home. I believe we're looking at a clean lap here. That will mean we've got 6 racers to finish with a clean one. Let's find out. As Jump Raven crosses the line with a 9:48.331. Holy cow. 5 thousandths of a second separating those two racers between Parmesan and Jump Raven. That is something incredible. As we broadcasters curse Josh Fulton around La Pargon and ruin his lap. Apologies there to Mr. Fulton.
MS the only one now left on the grid to finish their lap. They do, as I say that they return to pits, it's going to bring our quality session to a close. That was very interesting. We only had about less than half of our grid actually completed a clean lap.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. But
definitely shows you how difficult this track is.
Yeah, as we work our way down, you are going to see some liveries that you haven't seen out on the grid itself. These are racers who have reserve spots in the season, but weren't able to make it to today's events for some reason or the other. But we do see a lot of familiar ones. Still wish we could see who was Arze Ninja. Still wish we could see that one in action on the track. The NMR of Nick Cruz not joining us tonight, and a few other familiars. And of course, Cameron Design's own safety car there, one of our favorites. Did he not put the Cameron Design logo on this one? He definitely should have. We'll have to get a rework of that.
We definitely need to have a Cameron Design logo on there somewhere. Yeah, it's on the helmet there, on the visor.
Oh, there you go. Smart. Nice and it's always subtle. It's always hard to find.
It is always subtle.
Yeah, but very well put. As we got to be reaching towards the end of that qualifying time. Qualifying is going to go a little bit longer for the rookie end of things, obviously, just because their top time is a 10:26, so they'll have a little bit more overtime than these guys do. I bet some of these guys are going to be kicking themselves for not at least trying to go out, because they probably had a better opportunity than they thought they did. But at this point, I digress. All right, we've hit the final minute and 30 seconds until the final minute countdown, until the final race begins. Second to final. But seriously, going to be a good one from these guys today. We are expecting a lot, expecting some strong competition across the grid. We do have a lot of racers who haven't qualified, who are going to be further at the back of the pack, which will make things very interesting because we don't have any reverse grids this season. So this will be our version of the reverse grid. As we start to dial things in. All right, so a couple of seconds left here. Let's see exactly if we can figure out where they're starting. I don't see any actually grid markers, but I would assume it's going to be up here near the start finish. Only one way really to tell. Looks like they have that's for the track days, I would imagine. They've got the alternate entrance. Funny, it's just a parking lot. I guess because this is an actual road, so it's a probably picnic area for the track and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, I would argue.
As we see all the spectators in their nice, expensive F1 paddock boxes. You see they're like
expensive, very high end.
5 digits now?
Really? That's crazy.
It's insane. All right, as we look here, we've got Parmesan leading the way up front, followed by Jump Raven, Seb Bellew, Pogo, Rev174, and Sam GT3. Those are the ones who set laps. Then on for the randomized grid, we've got Matt Doom, Thorne, Josh Fulton, Dancy, Brett Anderson, Mogo, and Tommy Boy. That's going to be an interesting one. Tommy Boy, who is currently in battle with Jump Raven, only 1 point away for the lead in the pro class, has to make his way through this entire grid over the course of the next 45 minutes. and Jump Raven need to stay consistent out in front. But as the lights go on, we'll get ready for the action here in week 4. Away we go. Parmesan, per usual, off with a great start. Sam, a little bit slow off the jump in the back, starts to get caught up by Thorn and Josh Fulton behind. Looks like we might end up with a 3-wide situation turning into turn 1, but here up in the front of the grid, we might have the same thing as Rev 174 gets into a little wheel-to-wheel with Seb Bellew. Things get interesting as Rev goes wide into the broadcast cam. That's going to be a tricky spot to recover from. But Rev ends up getting moving. So we'll move up with the grid as Brett Anderson finds himself down a few spots. Tommy Boy continuing to work his way up, having to catch up to Jump Raven, as we mentioned earlier. So we'll need to pick the right opportunities to pass. Oh, as you see Josh Fulton going for a sneaky outside move with Thorn. Looks like Tommy Boy's considering following him. We're going to jump up a little bit just to get a little closer to that action. As this mid-pack seems to be where all the fun is in this early parts of Sector 1. Parmesan already separating himself 1.5 seconds away from Jump Raven. Seb Bellew 2.5 seconds behind that. And you see a little bit of fighting going on up ahead as Matt Doom goes out wide. Ooh, and we have the same happen behind. Just going to look back. It's going to be Brett Anderson and Sam GT3 who have a little bit of contact. I'm going to try and get in here as we've got one hell of a battle as Tommy Boy sends Pogo into Matt Doom. Doom ends up getting back on the track, but a little bit further behind where he'd like to be. And Tommy Boy has to start hunting again, this time from P9. So a little bit of space between the racers now, if not for a moment, as we head back to Rev 174, determined to prove me wrong, but determined to work together as we see some bump drafting going on between the two. Looks like these guys are trying to work together the best they can to catch up to the rest of the grid in front. And that'll be a nice opportunity for Brett Anderson to try and pick up a position. Not a good spot for bump drafting, so he'll just take the chance to move by through the cobblestone and out through Montchelnau. We'll jump up a little further to Tommy Boy, looking to get rid of that P9 number next to his name. Wants to creep up a little bit further, but has a few bad turns and is back on the hunt once more. As we've said before, I think Sam S may have had a little bit of a spin because we see Brett Anderson pick things up the easy way. And now only a small gap between himself and Rev 174. Still jumping around a lot here in this early lap as the drama is everywhere. Mogo now looking for his chance at Thorn. Pretty clean passes all around though, Jawa, what do you think?
Yeah, a few incidents here and there. That's part of racing, but the rest of them have been great. Been very static lap ones so far.
Did see a strong start from Josh Fulton, cruising his way into P6. He actually is also in the fight for that pro class. A positioning like this would actually might even put him ahead of Tommy Boy for the P2 spot in that pro division. He does need to catch up to Seb Bellew though, because he'll be moving up with him.
Definitely a very challenging race so far. The pack is staying pretty close together as of right now, all within about 15 seconds, which sounds like a lot, but at a track at this scale, it is only a few corners.
Yeah, I am noticing that Parmesan putting up a 344 for the first sector, so that is going to be explaining that gap. Jump Raven, though, doing a beautiful job of maintaining that 1.5 second gap. They're moving away from the pack together, so that's going to be dangerous for Tommy Boy. As we see Thorn go off into the gravel, I'm not sure where we'll see him come out. That's a tricky spot. Oh, and he manages to avoid rejoining just openly onto the track. But this is going to be a tricky spot because he's got two racers battling it out. He's going to want to jump right into the action if he can. But tries to go about it the smart way, knows there's a lot of time left in the race, and decides to wait for others' misfortune. So that'll allow Tommy to move up to P8 in his quest to catch up to the front of the pack. Pogo toying with the gap to Seb Bellew, only half a second away. Same goes for Tommy Boy here on Mogo, so we'll bounce back and forth between those guys to see who can find that time first. Currently looks to be going the way of Tommy Boy. Oh, although as I say that, poor entrance into that straightaway. And it's actually Brett Anderson who's going to have the best chance of them all through quite a long section. Wow, and you see that speed that he's coming up on the back of Doom with. He is coursing in through quite a narrow section and ends up riding that curb, which you've seen others lose control on before, but manages to keep the car stable and keep moving. Will have to reline himself up for an opportunity, though. Pogo, on the other hand, finally starting to creep a little bit closer, so might get that chance he's been looking for any second. Oh, as I say that, looks like Matt Doom may have had a little bit of an issue, and Brett Anderson takes the spot heading into P9 overall. And we missed a little head-to-head action there, as Tommy Boy does take the position for Mogo just as we joined them here on the broadcast. But Mogo, not want to give that up easily, is going to make him work for it, try and use him to break his way up to the top 5 battle. Looks like Josh Fulton only 2 seconds away from Dancy, so well within the distance to make something happen. As we see a couple of love taps with the environment on the live timing, and as a result, Rev174 finds himself with another opportunity, this time on Sam GT3. As you can see, Matt Doom in the foreground, so we'll have to see, or sorry, in the background there, but we'll have to see who or what he ends up doing. They're coming up on another section where it's not the easiest one to bump draft. May end up having to get a little bit offensive. Oh, as we see someone going off there, that's going to be Matt Doom. And Tommy Boy momentarily takes the position away from Mogo, but ends up losing it shortly after, so not entirely clear what happened there. We do have a little bit of action going on now, as Brett Anderson was a little slow off the punch. Oh, actually, it looks like Sam was a little bit too quick as he goes out wide into the turn. We'll have to rejoin this battle from the rear as Rev174 and Doom fight each other out, letting Brett Anderson slip away ahead of him. A lot of action for just 8 minutes of track.
Oh, so it's been ecstatic so far. This grid is still super tight, almost as tight as it is. That was a risky move there by by Rev there. Sorry to change context very quick, but that was a gap that was closing. Rev knew that it wasn't going to be the place to make the move, just back off a little bit. That's increased the gap now to about a second. So we see Mogo off track with Tommy Boy. Must have had some contact. Let's Rev and Doom through there as Mogo finds himself in P11. Very unfortunate there. But like you said, it's been a very entertaining first 8 or so minutes. Very crazy.
Yeah, we were unable to catch the contact, but we were able to catch the results of it. And it looked like Tommy Boy was slowing, so I think Tommy was kind of admitting fault for a moment until the whole pack showed up, and then decided maybe to let the FIA decide in the tickets later. As he kept moving, maintains his P8 overall, as Mogo now sits in P10. Looks like Tommy has one more racer to get this position from. This is going to be Brett Anderson ahead, but Rev174 might have to make him go defensive before he gets that attacking opportunity on the Minnesota Wild racer ahead. Oh, as Tommy has a very unfortunate one. We've seen that spot before. It is not a transparent object, and Tommy Boy goes flying into the broadcast tower, drops all the way down to P13. So starting from the back, already picked up one position though, because it looks like Brett Anderson ended up having a spin shortly after, as Rev174, Sam GTT, and Doom continue to battle things out. And Broadcaster's Curse strikes in the usual spot, this time for Rev 174, who will now find himself starting things out from P13. Oh, maybe P12.
It's definitely something we talked about earlier on during qualifying, is that being fast is one thing, but also not making mistakes is another. These drivers really need to understand that being the fastest doesn't mean too much if you hit in a pole every 3 sectors. So they definitely gotta work on their consistency a little bit, just to maintain their position. Other drivers will make mistakes, and that's where they should pick them up. This track is one of those tracks where you really have to be patient and not force a move, because it will eventually come to you.
Yeah, and we are seeing, as we get to the end here of lap 1 of a probable 4 laps, it might even seem, with the pace that Jesus has to offer today. We are seeing some tremendous battles, and I think these guys have to remember there's a long way to go. All of this is great, but you're losing so much time. I mean, look at these gaps that have formed across the grid. It's difficult to see where the advantage is overall. I mean, Matt Lara now 23 seconds away from P6, and you've got Seb Bellew, who is battling things out with Pogo for a while now, 26 seconds away from Parmesan and Jump Raven, who we're actually going to have to turn to despite all the battle happening over there, just to see for a moment if Jump Raven can make something happen. This is the first battle on the lead that we've had, and this is going to be a crucial one for him to take advantage of. Oh, with a big dive. Oh, he goes for it, goes full send, knows it's his only opportunity. Unfortunately, not able to capitalize on it. However, Brett Anderson already capitalizing on an opportunity on Rev 174 to try and get a few positions back. Can he do the same on Thorn through these next few corners? What do you think is going to happen here, Jawa?
I think we're going to see Brett try and make a move here in the next 3 or 4 corners on Thorn, as we head into some pretty windy sections of the track. As Brett goes a little bit wide, keeps it out of the trees, loses a little bit of time to Thorn ahead. It's a little bit overly ambitious there on that one move, but keeps it on the track, which is the biggest thing, and we'll have plenty of time to reel in that car ahead. We do see Thorn having some traffic ahead of him. We'll definitely slow him up just enough to let Brett get just that much closer in range to make a move. This could be a huge fight towards this P9.
Yeah, at this point, it is like a massive battle for P9 that's been going on for quite some time. Those guys do all have the pace to try and turn this into a bigger battle for P7, but at some point, they do have to stop fighting. They do have 30 minutes left to go, so, you know, they can still drag this battle out for a little bit longer, but at some point, decisions will have to be made, and it looks like Tommy's going to be the one to try and make that decision. The number 16 car whipping past the Planet Express racer as much as a little Miata can, and it's going to force him into one hell of a dangerous angle. Up and over the hills we go. The man catches airtime, but somehow lands it and tries to get back on the grid, once again starting his hunt from P13. I feel like I've made that call a couple times tonight.
It's been a few, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there are rough nights, and then there are rough nights. This one, not one for the books for Tommy in these first 15 minutes, but we're only about a lap and a half in out of 4, so plenty of time to make up some positions here, as you never know what'll happen. Brett Anderson has massive pace heading into this corner, and is it a little too much? Oh, he nails the side of the house, finds himself in a tricky spot, and gets out of the way before he's able or before anyone gets into too much trouble. That'll give Tommy Boy a little bit of hope, though, as he's able to pick up his first pass on his new battle to get up towards the top of the grid. And just like that, we've got a relatively separate field.
It's been a very ecstatic first race so far, or first lap, and this is being our second. We're seeing a lot of impatience. I've noticed from our drivers. They want to get through as fast as possible, which probably isn't the best move, especially a race that is 45 minutes long. The opportunity will come, force the opponent into a mistake, and try and avoid the mistake yourself. As we see that from Jump Raven did have one hiccup with the wall they're trying to overtake. Parmesan still within about 3 seconds, and does have a very, very good pace right now. Doesn't have a purple sector 1 that goes to Parmesan as expected, but is definitely right there with him.
Yeah, I mean, Jump Raven doing a tremendous job of keeping that pace. Their last laps only about a second apart. Really, not too much difference between the two of them. Same goes for a lot of races on the grid, able to keep it real close to the guy in front of them. Speaking of that, Josh Folt now finding himself within a second to Dancy ahead. He's had a few opportunities, but he seems to be losing it in some sectors. We'll see if he can hang on this time around and turn this into some sort of opportunity towards the end of lap 2. Already gaining a couple tenths since we've joined him. And is this one of the cars that's had any damage? Looking around it. No, it looks like Josh has been able to run a clean race.
One thing we've seen, we've talked about time and time again, is racing a clean race is definitely going to be the way to go here. We're hoping the rest of our drivers can keep it clean for the remaining 29 or so minutes. Josh has put up a great race so far, staying within about a second to Dancy in P5. Josh looking to take this P5 away from Dancy, and is slowly reeling him in 10th by 10th.
Yeah, and Josh is one of our racers who did not set a qualifying time, so definitely a stellar position to be in when you are at the will of the drawing board as far as your starting position goes.
Most definitely, Josh is doing a great job at keeping that gap just close enough to apply some pressure to Dancy. Dancy definitely knows that Josh is quick and can't let off at all.
Yeah, and it is important to remember these guys do have real penalty on today, so we haven't seen it come into play yet, but these cut warnings are eventually going to start to trigger, and we'll see some penalties fly, as this is not a very forgiving track, especially the way that we've seen some of these guys drive it. Brett Anderson and Tommy Boy switching positions and then switching them back once more. So they're having a little bit of fun back there in the battle for P12. As Fulton finally closes into drafting range in one hell of a spot to do so. He's definitely got the opportunity to line himself up for the next big corner, but can he capitalize on it is the big question. Goes a little bit too far, now has to wall ride, and Dancy on his mirrors defending against the dive does it with him, so he doesn't actually really lose any time to Dancy ahead, but both racers losing a couple tenths to Pogo in the overall. As Dancy finally finds a little bit more acceleration into a long stretch and can stretch his legs, giving himself a little bit of breathing room for the first time in about an eighth of this lap. Definitely a nice way of applying the pressure there. Tommy Boy, it seems, having a few more unfortunate moments here. Up in back in P13, falls behind Brett Anderson once more. We see struggling, it looks like, for grip at the moment. So we'll see if he can maybe turn that around. We do see over in the rookie end of things, Woohoo Man and Fudzy are in a very close battle up at the top, with Wasey only 10 seconds away. Max Yang 30 seconds behind him, followed by Bullet, who's got an 18-second gap, Trent with a 10-second gap, and Rick Nicholson with a 45-second gap. So those guys have very much spread out in the rookie end of things. Brett Anderson going into the wall gives Tommy Boy hope once more as he starts to catch up, not only to him, but to Thorne as well, as you can see up in the distance. I'm going to jump over, though, for a second to Sam S., who's found himself in drafting range at the end of a long, long straightaway. He's going to go right for the shootout, thinks he can outbrake him on the inside, and will have the opportunity in a few minutes' time. Lets off the gas to try maybe and just get the toe, I'd say, as Tommy Boy goes for a move and is unsuccessful, Dancy goes into the environment, finds himself, both racers find themselves out and in the dirt, heading into the Paragon, and it will be a reset for both of them. 20 seconds away from Pogo now, so that's pretty much safe for our P4, P3 battle going on, as Sam S and Doom have caught up quite a bit, making up almost 10 seconds in that chaos. We do hear a little bit of a collision behind as Mogo and Rev 174 make contact heading into the braking zone. Rev 74 manages to keep pushing. Mogo now under fire from Thorn behind. Oh, as we see Tommy Boy go flying into the river. That is unfortunate, as Brett Anderson, I shouldn't be laughing, sandwiches him in just a little bit. We now go over to Mogo, who was looking for the move on Thorn, but ends up getting past. That was one hell of a moment there. Well, certainly going to have to circle back on that. I hope maybe we can get a replay some way, somehow. Although I don't know if it's possible. In a race like this, that is a huge amount of laps to lose. Just unfortunate kind of overall for Tommy Boy. Again, we'll see if maybe he's kind enough to get that footage for us over on the broadcast. Oh, as Mogo picks up his first 5-second penalty, this time for cutting, as Brett Anderson goes flying by. That's going to be dangerous because Mogo now needs to somehow get a 5-second lead to whatever car he's in front of. And, well, that's not what you want to happen right at that moment.
No, not at all. Just avoiding the penalties is going to be a huge part of today's race, especially as we've seen so many incidents with these drivers currently.
Yeah, although Mogo's certainly doing a good job of keeping the power down, keeping the throttle in, and really trying to make these other cars work for it. Oh, as they both have significantly different braking points into Saray. Mogo managing to take the awkward line and avoid the contact for most of the way through. Keeps it to a light rubbing is racing moment. That's some excellent discipline and reactions from the 74 car there. As this battle continues, I am keeping my eye on Josh Fulton a little further up ahead, toying with Dancy, still within that 1-second range. That one's been going on for about 10 minutes now, so we'll see if he can make that gap close down a little bit further before we jump in. Although Brett Anderson just had a tremendous few corners, finds himself really roaring up to the back of Thorn in the new racer number 69, so that's going to be an interesting battle to unfold, with Mogo slowly starting to breathe down both of their necks. That Minnesota wild card just getting closer and closer, doing a good job of keeping things within the track limits. It is a very unforgiving track, so you really don't want to take too many risks. That's actually going to be the Scrub Daddy Racer you can see just off in the distance there. So if they can keep it together, they got a clean shootout for a nice little P10 battle. We're going to step away for just a minute, though. Oh, well, we'll watch and see if Rev's able, or Thorn's able to hold off Mogo, which they are for now, since Mogo also followed Thorn off the track. But then we'll jump over to Josh Fulton, who is trying his damnness to get in front of Dancy, currently getting closer and closer, almost within that drafting range. Would have been a nice straightaway to have that opportunity, so I'll have to try and find it again somewhere along the line. Speaking of opportunity, Matt Lara lined himself up a little bit better as they get into that same stretch, but this time Doom within the range. Can he make something happen by the end of this thing? And there's that bit defender Mazda just slowly starting to creep in the draft, doing its thing. It's not really close enough to get full advantage yet. He's got to inch a little bit closer, but he's almost out of room. I don't think this will be the opportunity he was looking for, as he pulls actually out of the draft a little too early, and definitely will not be able to make full use of the benefits just yet, but lines himself up way better for this second stretch and will certainly be able to make a move in a moment's time. The question is where? Oh, well, it looks like the track tried to decide for him and sends him through the bushes. He'll have to rejoin in a bit of an awkward spot. Same goes for Josh Fulton, trying to get a move done in a similar type of situation. Probably could sense the misfortune of our racers further behind in the grid and didn't want that fate to become himself. So he does not go for that move. A little further back in the grid, Brett Anderson able to get a move on on Rev 174, as Mogo look within drafting range to Thorn, only a few seconds behind. Oh, Josh Fulton in the side-by-side, going to go for that late dive down the inside and pulls it off. Dancy sticking within the drafting range, though, not going to let that one go lightly, so Josh going to have to start working for it as the 47 car stays close by. We do see Pogo looking for a move to try and get into that podium position a little bit further up. Looks like all of our racers decided they want to start battling at the exact same moment, as Brett Anderson takes another position, this time from Matt Lara. If Dancy doesn't take this one soon, we might have to pop over to Brett, as he is leading some sort of charge back there. Oh, both racers going off significantly wide. Dance, though, able to keep a little bit more pace and power through. We'll jump over to the DLRT race car of Pogo. Currently well within striking distance to that Williams racer of Seb Bellew in front. 55 seconds away from Jump Raven, who's only 5 seconds for Parmesan. Oh no! And a massive moment between them as Seb gets pinched between a car and the broadcast booth, finds himself spun out pretty good and facing the wrong way on the track. I don't think he knows it. Yeah, he got all sorts of spun out there. Oh, as the game teleports him to pits for driving the wrong way.
Very unfortunate there for Seb. We never like to see this kind of situations. Oh man.
Oh, that just absolutely sucks there. As we jump over to a battle between Matt Lara and Rev 174. Seb Bellew getting back out onto the track, but I'm not sure what that's going to do for his overall position. That is a tricky spot to be in at this stage in the game. Matt making the move on Rev 174. These guys just going back and forth and back and forth. Hard to keep up with, as they're keeping things interesting back here in the battle for P8. As more and more racers get across the line, I believe we'll slowly see Seb Bellew's time correct itself, as it already has corrected itself in the live timings there, so it should just take a little bit to update on our broadcast. Rev 174, though, looking for another opportunity. Everybody seems to try it here and regret it. I don't think I've seen anybody successfully pull off an outside move. It seems to be the inside is the only way to make that one stick, and Doom gets a little bit too anxious of the Scrub Daddy racer in his mirrors, sends it wide, and will allow him to pass through. Meanwhile, further up the grid, now in a battle for the podium following the misfortune of Seb Bellew, Josh Fulton only half a second away from Dancy, while toying with that half-second gap to Dancy. Really still applying the pressure. It's unbelievable how long these guys have been fighting each other here in this 45-minute event.
Most definitely. We do also see Mogo now in the pits. Very unfortunate we weren't able to catch what happened there, but it does seem to be a race over there. We see Mogo making his way through the pits. I'm not sure yet, but definitely is a race-ending issue there.
Yeah, although hopefully he'll be able to get the jump on and maybe get caught up to Seb Bellew. He has completed a few more laps than Tommy Boy, or has completed at least more distance than Tommy Boy, so maybe that'll count for a little bit of something, as Josh Fulton working to avoid picking up that last track cut penalty. I can imagine by the way he was driving there. He must be close to that limit. I feel like you can tell, you know?
Oh, for sure. Definitely easing off the throttle as you go off track to not pick up that cut warning. We do also see that Mogo has retired the car officially. So we both drivers going off track. Doom and Rev 174 smacking, and Thorn as Thorn flies by
And keeps
somehow
going.
keeps it back on track.
No way.
Makes a double overtake in one corner. I'm not sure the legality of that, but you know what? That was impressive.
I think given the circumstances will allow it, considering there were two cars kind of in the middle of the track. I don't really know how else to call that one, as these guys
see Rev
have entered full desperation mode, just trying to get whatever points they can and stay within that top 10.
As we see Doom off again into the fence. Very unfortunate.
I mean, Brett's got to be closing in, right? There he is.
Brett right there. As we speak, Brett makes his way into P10, chasing down Rev, 10 seconds off.
And
wow,
closing.
That was a very interesting past minute. Wow.
Just when you think things are getting stale here. We've had someone flip into the river. We've had a series of pool shots. It's just been one fun event after the next. Looks like Josh Fulton's starting to get us lined up for our next one here, as these guys have not had much success with passing opportunities on each other. So for the sake of the broadcast, let's see if that pattern continues. For the sake of clean racing, they're doing a phenomenal job, I will say. This has been a great battle. I feel like we've been checking in on it consistently for the last 20 minutes at least. And although they have started to have a massive gap to the two cars up ahead, it is an interesting one to stay on board with. Seb Bellew now destined to finish the last few moments of the race in no man's land, so that will be a tricky one. As Fulton has really started to find his line through a couple of these corners. It's these tight sections is where he's doing a good job at catching up. There's just something about his final exits into a few of these straightaways where Dancy has that opportunity to get away a little.
He is barely within draft range now, so he may be getting a little bit of an advantage here. But Dancy does seem to be very comfortable. Josh does make 2/10 up in that one corner. Very different lines through this. And it seems that Dancy's line is just a little bit better, but Josh does close the distance very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are staying neck and neck as they have been. Worth noting, Dancy, with a strong performance here, could move himself up into that pro class, especially following the misfortune of Tommy Boy and Seb Bellew. That's going to really be a jumble up in the points, although with the lowest race drops, you never know where things will lie. As Josh, again, picking up a couple tenths in a big corner. Seems to be his specialty. That's going to be where he gets his opportunity, is in some of those tighter moments of the late sector 2 and all of sector 3. He just needs to do a good job of staying close to these next two bits here, where they've got these long straightaways. Might be moving on him a little bit though. If he's getting close. As I say that, it goes up to 0.6. So now Dancy did get another good lead into the straight. So that's going to help him out to stave off Josh for a little bit more. He'll have to work and dive late into this corner to make up that same time, which he does carry some good momentum through, but not enough to continue applying the pressure. Speaking of applying the pressure, Brett Anderson starting to get close to Rev 174. It's possible that we're going to see a little battle between them in the next half lap or so. I anticipate maybe in Sector 3 that one will come to fruition, but for now, we stick with Josh Fulton. I mean, we've been sticking with him a lot, and I'm starting to feel a little bad, but he's been so close. I really feel like he can make that move. Although Brett Anderson officially has crept a little bit closer, and it seems like they're starting to hit those long straightaways where we know that drafting really comes into play. That Minnesota wild card getting closer and closer. Now it's going to be a tricky spot because he is going to have plenty of speed from this draft heading into this corner, but it's a tough one to really make a move on. You want to have the better acceleration out of it, which Brett tries to line himself up for, but Rev able to carry through it a little bit quicker and able to get away before the draft can really kick in too much. Brett, though, really going for it. I think kind of forgets where they were on the track a little bit and ends up going for a pass off the line. Is going to have to let Rev 174 by. And, they've got a little bit of contact, and both racers go off now. That's going to be a huge opportunity for Matt Doom as Brett carries on through. We'll see where Rev 174 ends up, but he does manage to keep going. Looks like a little further up the grid. We did have some contact between Josh Fulton and Dancy according to the live timings. Josh, though, able to keep carrying through. Dancy keeps moving after a little moment off the grid or off the grass, but doing a good job of sticking with that number 23 car. So I think these guys are going to carry this battle all the way through to the end. So we'll have at least one podium fight. Jump Raven doing a good job of sticking with Jesus, still within 7 seconds of the demon from across the pond. Unfortunate that we won't be able to see just what Tommy Boy had in store for us today, but really was a tremendous effort from himself and Seb Bellew and Mogo for quite a long time in this race. That is the dangers of some of these long ones. Jawa.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to DM Tommy and see if he can send us a clip of his moment?
Yeah, I'll send him a DM here.
And see if we can maybe get that on the broadcast for the people. That was crazy. As Dan's looking to get his position back from Josh. Again, only 7 minutes remaining in this 45-minute event, but it's all going to depend on where the top two racers are across the line. It looks like they are going to cross with enough time to do one more lap beyond this one, so everybody's got quite some ways to go. Nobody is safe yet. We've seen a single crash take up more than 10 seconds. So many racers on the grid well within striking distance if the guy in front slips up. Dancy looking for that slip up here, trying to force Josh into a mistake out wide, able to make up with some grip through the S's, or the uphill S's, as both cars really doing a good job of sticking together. Dancy, though, gonna have to try and lock in and catch up if he can. Oh, and Josh going wide. He'll be able to rejoin, but we'll be back on the hunt once more. I know he's not going to be happy about that. He's been working hard to get that opportunity to be in front and to try and land that podium spot. Now at this stage, he's got a little bit more digging to do to get that away from the number 47 car in front. Remember, with this season scoring, every position matters. It doesn't matter what class you're in currently, because you're subject to get moved up or down at a moment's notice based on how everybody else is performing. And I think that's what's going to keep things a little bit more interesting throughout the season here. As we do see the official gap between Seb Bellew and Brett Anderson, it's going to be 5 minutes and 46 seconds. That is the cost of the Beyblade incident that we saw earlier. Very unfortunate. Pogo has been slipping back further and further ever since that, so I wonder if he might have taken a little bit of suspension damage. Pogo is doing a great job at holding off Dance and Josh for the majority of the race up until that moment with Seb Bellew. And it looks like now he's fallen about 3 seconds since then. So off the pace of these two guys who have been battling it out a little bit. And we'll check in with our man from up north, Seb Bellew. What a rough position to be in at this stage, huh?
Most definitely, it is kind of in no man's land. You're just lapping as best you can, but it is still P11, not last place by any means, and it was a very unfortunate incident.
Yeah, it looks like there are 29 racers eligible for points in the overall season, only 13 of which showed up for today's event. So a lot of points on the board just for carrying on through. And if there are any other unfortunate incidents in these final few moments, Seb Bellew will be there to capitalize it. Speaking of capitalize on it, Rev 174 has a little bit of an issue with the environment heading through the Paragon, and Thorn right there to make things interesting with only 3 minutes remaining. Seb Bellew picks up a 5-second penalty for cutting. We're going to call that one the icing on the cake. Has real penalty, has no chill. Ooh, and that was honestly just a little bit of dirty air. We didn't see any contact on the live timings there. I think it was just dirty air mixed with a rough braking off the carousel to avoid that contact. But Thorn no longer within that striking distance to Rev 174 in front. Now has to worry about the Brett Anderson striking distance behind. Matt Doom Delara picking up a 7-second penalty for speeding and ends up heading to the pits. Oh, speeding into the pit lane. So Matt heads to the pits with only a little bit left in the event. Very interesting, because a full tank of fuel should have been enough. So it looks like there might have been some sort of miscalculation there. Possibly only planning for 3 laps. Well, that might make things interesting for Seb. I don't know exactly how much time Seb's going to make up. Oh, nope, Matt's already out of the pit. So it's not going to be too much. But a little bit, as Brett Anderson now up into P8, trying to keep the position away from Thorn that he just took around turn 1. As this grid does not sleep, and they continue to give us more and more battles right till the end. Thorn in that new racer trying to make every corner count as the man from the Minnesota Wild tries to power on through and gain that position back. As we see Brett creeping closer and closer. He's got the same situation that Josh had, where he's got the advantage through these tight corners. It's the high-speed sections we haven't seen yet to see who's got the advantage there. But Brett certainly keeping Thorn's eyes in his rears, and it might force one of those mistakes that he needs so desperately to try and get by. But this is going to be a good stretch to try and make something happen here. Can he make it work? Looks like Thorne ended up with just a little bit better acceleration. That running with the grass not going in his favor. He'll be able to keep things moving. So as they continue, let me do this. So we're gonna put on the auto cam for you guys here and just switch over for a moment so we can take a look at that moment with Tommy Boy from earlier. Let's see what we've got. I believe this is going to be relatively from his perspective. Of course, the TV cam is in one hell of a spot, but it looks like brick goes off. Oh, and Tommy Boy just bounces the curb over. We'll watch that back just one more time for you guys. Again, Tommy Boy coming in a little bit hot. No contact between the two racers. Tommy Boy just, I think, getting a little too quick on the draw, ends up going over the barrier. So just unfortunate, but nothing that could really be avoided. We'll switch back now to the race at hand. Can't jump on with Thorne in the number 69 car. I mean, watching that back, there really wasn't much anybody else could do. It was just a moment of miscalculation, so to speak.
One of those things, part of racing. Definitely very unfortunate.
Absolutely. And I do see the leader is on the final lap. That's going to be Parmesan, currently working his way towards the end of Sector 2. Still plenty of time left to go. Thorne looks to be the only one with a solid opportunity to make something happen in our final moments here. Same goes for Pogo, hoping for a mistake from Josh, and Josh hoping for a mistake from Dancy, but doesn't look like that's a promise either one of them would be willing to make to the other. Seb Bellew pretty far back on the grid to the point where you wonder if he would slow things out. Oh, and as I say, Thorne's not going to have the opportunity. The opportunity is given to him as Brett Anderson ends up in the pits. So he ends up withdrawing, unfortunately, and retiring the car. I'm not sure exactly where it ended up, but it did go way off to the side of the road there, and that will shift everybody up, and Seb Bellew will actually finish with a top 10 overall. So that could be worse.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this has been an insane race so far. Tons of incidents, tons of crazy battles, and ending at P10 is nothing to be upset about.
Yeah, Parmesan does have a 946.701. Worth noting, though, Jump Raven has a 946.711. So barely a barely a gap between the two. Those guys are on some tremendous pace out front together. I will say, before he disconnected, Tommy Boy only had his outlap of a 10:59, so we really didn't get to see what he had in the bag. Did see 10:30s from Mogo and Brett Anderson before they disconnected, so didn't really get to see the full potential out of any of those guys. Seb Bellew with a 10:08 and Pogo with a 10:05 definitely saw a ton of potential out of both of them. As Josh Fulton is closing that gap a little bit. He's not got a lot of time left, but he's really trying to make something count with the time that he does have remaining. I am going to jump over just for a moment as Parmesan enters those final few corners of the track. Fonteny coming to a close with the 48 Raspberry Racer at the helm. But if you look behind him, I know it's a little hard to see out in the distance. You'll see flying around that corner, that red dot on your screen of Jump Raven, the only one to challenge Parmesan, and did it with some absolute style. Only a single hundredth separating their fastest lap time, so that is tremendous from both of them. We'll jump now back to the battle at hand between Josh Fulton and Dancy. But a great finish from our top 2 racers on the board. And we still got another 2 minutes to go here.
We do indeed. This has been a very electric race so far. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's kind of the race that just keeps on giving. Looking over at the rookie end of things, I do see, looks like Fudzy is up front trying to work his way towards the finish line for them. He's got a 24-second gap to Woohoo Man. He's got a 5-second gap to Wacy, and then some big gaps behind them with Trent and Tipsy ultimately retiring their cars for the evening. So this is a tough one, man. This is not for the lighthearted. It's one that you can very easily get caught up on. Ooh, as Josh almost finds out here in some of his final corners. And Pogo continues to close the gap behind and carry on the pressure. Trent and Cook, brothers, unfortunately retiring in both leagues tonight. That is an unfortunate moment. I'm sure there would be some choice words about this track in that household.
I would agree with that. Into the carousel now. Ooh.
He's got a lot of pressure behind him.
Making up plenty of time. Pogo's made up plenty of time here.
Yeah, he's getting real close. He's only got a few more corners left, though, so I don't think he'll be able to close it. But worth noting that he had a personal best Sector 1. His Sector 2 was only a little bit behind Josh Fulton, who has a big and costly mistake. This is too long of a straightaway. He's not going to be able to keep it Pogo away. And that is not, look at him flooring it into the pits. He is not happy with that finish. And takes the speeding penalty as a frustration there. That is unfortunate. Never how you want to see, of course, the lap end. We've had too many guys having some unfortunate ends to their race here in Fonteny. And I'm sure they'll be relieved to have an off week next week just to reset before the finale. But hey, that's where the drops come into play. As I'm sure we'll see a few guys using that one. Well, Josh Fulton, man, I know that wasn't the ending that he was looking for. Didn't want to lose that position to Pogo, but what a tremendous race, finishing out P5 overall. I mean, only one racer in front of him ended up not even not finishing, just dropping back, which would be Seb Bellew. So really ended up finishing P6 overall. That is a strong placement for a strong race, as the actual P6 ends up crossing through Sam GT3, not too far behind. Trying to fight the noob racer would be Thorn 174. Again, one of those situations where there's just not enough time left on the track. Thorn not going to be able to close that gap with the time on hand, but we'll keep moving through. Rev 174 locking things in P7. Thorn finishing up P8, and we'll jump back over to Matt Lara. And while we wait for Matt Lara to come across the line, we'll just take a look at one other thing happening over on the grid. This was another moment from this was that moment with Tommy Boy from a different angle, I believe. Let's see if I'm correct.
It is indeed.
Yep. All right. Going to be a follow-up. And oh yeah, that is some prime flippage. Hold on, we'll bag it back just to like right there and just boom. That is unfortunate. But on that note, we will shut off the display cam and head to Matt Lara crossing the line, or at least crossing Beth Anderson, and now crossing the line for a phenomenal P9. And we'll watch now with Seb Bellew, our final racer to bring us home, looking for a P10 overall. I mean, considering what happened to Seb, P10 with a full lap back is not a bad spot to be in. I know we've had a lot of racers with some tricky spots in today's events, but I mean, everybody managed to carry through. Everybody managed to make it to the end, so we appreciate that, and they'll all get some good points just for showing up because it seems like a lot of people are looking to use it as the drop. So
For sure. I mean,
certainly could
P10
be
is not a
worse.
bad. Yeah, for sure. P10 is not a bad place to be, especially after the incident that Seb had, and done a great job of putting in that work and putting himself in a position to still get some points.
Yeah, and he's got about 3 minutes left in his track here, so he'll just be working hard at this point, just trying to bring the car home. I don't expect to see any heaters here in the final sectors, but certainly going to be a nice way to wrap up week 4 with the Williams racer, the man from up north, the Beyblade himself. Those broadcast towers are gnarly. They took out quite a few.
Oh, definitely. I suspect there was quite a few more that we didn't get to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see it in the live timings. Sorry. I can see it in the live timings, just didn't end up seeing it on the broadcast, but that is just how she goes sometimes. Seb Bellew now. I know we're not commentating the lap too much, but there's really not too much going on with his fight here. He's just bringing us home to wrap things up. Again, he will end up passing Brett Anderson to lock in P10. That'll give him 15 points in today's event. And looking at his current standings, that will not be a dropped event for him. So every single one of those points will matter and will be important to hang on to. I mean, you can look at the live timings and see, but that really doesn't tell the story that we saw here. Pogo, Dancy, Josh Fulton, Seb Bellew, all battling it out very, very strong along similar times. Jump Raven holding that gap to Parmesan for so long, even getting a chance to make a move at one point, but just not being able to find that off. And then Rev, Thorn, Doom, Brett, Mogo, and Tommy Boy, that amazing 6-way battle we had for a good 10-15 minutes there. That was a great portion of what we had going in today's event. So really strong racing from all of our racers. It was the kind of stuff that we really love to see here. Certainly excited to see how things shake out for the next and final race of the season. These guys will be going to Ottawa circuit, but the full length circuit with all the weird bits, bops, ins and outs and turns. So you'll really have to drive these things carefully. You'll really have to be very specific with it, which I'm hoping a lot of our racers will be able to do. And it will be one that has a pit stop. So of course we'll have our favorite strategies in play. Who will be able to pull off the one stop, who will be able to, or who will go with the flow and take the 2 stop. We'll have our undercuts, our overcuts, our whole 9, you name it. But that's 2 weeks from today. We finally have our last racer across the line. Seb Bellew, Mr. Unfortunate, saw some Beyblade action following a crash in the early moments of the race, but made the most of it and took home a P10. Could be worse.
And most definitely, it was a very entertaining race at the least. Know some drivers can have some mixed feelings about that, but others will have some great feelings. That is part of racing, and wouldn't take it any other way.
You said it best, but we'll catch everybody for the next one, and obviously we always appreciate those who stopped in.